Hi, this is Mr. Wilkerson, and tonight I'm going to make a ketogenic friendly cauliflower cheese soup. I've been on the ketogenic diet recently, and you've maybe not been able to tell, but I dropped a few pounds, and it seems to be going pretty well. So that's why I'm working on keto friendly recipes.
The soup spoon!
Alright, so what we have here is our soup pot, and I have fried 6 pieces of bacon in there. Now remember that I make a recipe that's for my whole household of people, so you may want to take my measurements and put them in half. But what I've got here is 6 pieces of bacon. If you don't eat bacon, then just use, your favorite oil, like olive oil or something like that, and butter. But I've fried the bacon in its own grease and in 2 tablespoons of butter. All right. Now to this grease and butter, I'm going to add 4 more tablespoons of butter. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to turn that heat back up a little. And then I am going to add 2 medium onions that have been diced up. So 1, and luckily for me, I have sous chefs that can take care of that for me in our car's glad bags. Alright, so we are going to cook these onions in this butter for about 2 minutes. So get those all coated up. And we're going to let that cook for about 2 minutes. Whatever. Oh. Okay, so to our onions that have been cooking in bacon grease and 6 tablespoons of butter, I'm going to add, what I have here is half of a teaspoon of chili powder and a half a teaspoon of thyme. So I'm going to add that in there, in my little Pokemon ramekin. And I've also got, I believe it's 6 cloves of garlic. I'm going to add that in there. You could add more garlic, of course. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm then also going to add to that, I've got 2 pounds of cauliflower florets here. Yes. So I'm going to let these cook for about 3 minutes. Kind of soften up but I don't want the garlic to burn. So about 3 minutes on this stuff. Was that 2 minutes? 3 minutes? Alright, so now we're going to, look at that cauliflower. It's soaking up the bacon grease and the butter. The garlic's been cooking and the onions. So what we're going to add now is 6 cups of chicken broth, or your favorite broth, vegetable broth, beef broth, whatever you like. But 6 cups. I just got Walmart special here. And we're going to add that, and we're going to bring this up to a boil. So I don't know how long that'll take. 2 or 3 minutes probably. So I'm going to turn up the heat a little, and we are going to let that cook until it comes to a boil. So we will be right back. to a boil now. So I'm going to lower the heat, and we're going to take 2 cups of heavy cream and stir that in there. That's going to help thicken it up. And then we're going to let it simmer. So let's see here. So 2 cups of heavy cream. Now if you aren't wanting keto, if you're not on a ketogenic diet, then you might want to use half and half or milk to do this. But when you're on a ketogenic diet, you can have a lot more fat and protein in your diet. You just have to limit your carbohydrates. And okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of water to this, but we're going to let that simmer for, let me check for how long. 15 minutes. We're going to let that simmer for 15 minutes. So we will be back in 15 minutes. Okay, so I believe our cauliflower is nice and soft now. Yes. Alright, so we are going to mix this up with our stick blender. Turn the heat off for a minute until it's nice and creamy. So maybe we could do a time. Alright, so now I am going to turn the heat back up just a little bit. Alright, now that I've got my cauliflower mostly broken down so that it's kind of a creamier soup. Something I'm going to add is a half a teaspoon of nutmeg. Strange, huh? And now, this is something I had to order it off the internet, but one of the things you can use as a thickener, because we can't use flour, we can't use cornstarch as thickeners like we normally would in a soup or a sauce. I've got something called xanthan gum. Yeah, it starts with an X, xanthan gum. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I looked it up, and it's some natural thing, but it's a no-carb thickener, so I'm going to put that in there. I've got I think a quarter, no, it's a half a teaspoon of xanthan gum. Now, you don't want to use too much of that, because that can then, if you use too much xanthan gum, it will cause a weird mouthfeel. Instead of being thick, it'll be like slimy, like you had used okra, or something like that. So I did some figuring and figured out for this much I used a half a teaspoon. So if you go for this, you might just use a quarter. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add in, I've got some mild shredded cheddar here. So 2 cups, but I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. I'm going to add in a couple of handfuls here. That's probably my 2 cups there, but I may add a little more. And we are going to stir that until it gets melty and melted and incorporated in. Alright. Okay, well, I added a couple more handfuls of cheese. It's been sitting here cooking, and I think it's thickening up real nice. This is going to be a nice thick soup. Now, one thing you do want to do is use salt it, because I haven't added any salt. Well, the bacon adds some salt, of course, but salt kind of helps you, apparently, when you're on a keto diet, to get over that keto flu. Alright, well, I think it smells good, looks good. I think we will think that's all melted and thickened. I think it may be done. So we will show you what it tastes like. Alright, well here is our ketogenic friendly cauliflower soup. Now because I like cilantro, I put in a few shakes of cilantro leaves. But we're going to add a little bit more salt. I'm going to grind up a little bit of pepper here. And I'm going to add as a garnish, I'm going to add a little bit more shredded cheese just to sit on the top there. And the bacon that we had fried mixed with some chives. So, alright. So there we go. That's what our soup looks like. Now, before I try this, did say that it was ketogenic friendly, so if you follow my recipe, each serving of about a cup and a half or so is 11 net carbs. That's not bad. When you're limited to about 30 or less carbs per day, to be able to have a bowl of something this thick and this satisfying really makes a difference. This has 3 grams of fiber, 14 total carbs, has 44 grams of fat, which sounds like a lot, and it is, but again, this is a ketogenic friendly recipe. So if you're not doing the keto diet, then you might want to trade some things out, or just use this as a once in a while type thing. It's also got 19 grams of protein and 535 calories. So let's give it a shot. Let's see how it tastes here. Look at that. Wow. That is so thick and so satisfying. Well, once again, I'm always surprised and pleased at how good these soup recipes are. They're just really good. And that's easy. I think you kids could make this for your mom and dad at night. Moms and dads, you could make this for your kids. I think they'd like it because there's not big chunks of cauliflower in there to scare them off. You know, this just looks like a creamy soup, and it's so good. In fact, it's so good, I think it will make you get out.
The soup spoon!